It was a gun.
I'm not voting.
If we want to build our nation.
The problem with the Somalians.
Just want to experience something else than a black man.
Move on, move
Can't be like
forward.
a horse with blinkers on.
Honestly say, I was about to have
Corrupt
sex and then I pulled
crap,
up.
but it's nice.
My name is Mandy. I was born in South Africa, but both my parents are from DRC. I'm a graduate from the University of Western Cape, and at the moment I'm interning at Africa Unite, and I'm 22.
My name is Mysteri Kifle, and I am originally from Ethiopia, but I live in the US at the moment, and I am interning in South Africa at Africa Unite.
My name is Oswald Cherera. I'm originally from Zimbabwe. I moved here in South Africa in 2009. I am an author of 2 books, and I've been anthologized in several publications. I work at 6 Bean Street as a lift operator.
Hello, my name is Saba. I'm an intern of Africa Unite. I was born in Pakistan and I live in France.
When it comes to xenophobia, I always try looking at it in a broader perspective, not only in the perspective of us foreigners being attacked, but the thing is South Africa has a long history of struggle. It only got independence in 1994. There's so many things that South Africans on its own cannot access. So now when foreigners come into the country, we are, I wouldn't say we are easily accessing it, but we are getting more opportunities than a lot of poor South Africans. And I think that's where the conflict is, that they are seeing that the foreigners are getting more opportunities. So I think when it comes to South Africans, that's what they are seeing. When it comes to us foreigners, we are feeling this fear because, we're feeling this fear because they do not want us to be, they don't want us to be here, And we want to be here because we are coming for better opportunities. We are running from back home because the economic problems, politics, and all those things. And like example, my parents came here to give us better education. So I think that's when it comes to xenophobia, I think that's the 2 stories.
As for me, I understand the background history of South Africa and also the inequalities that are in South Africa, in the sense that now the black majority, they are scrambling for the crumbs, and we coming into the society that already have its own problems, it's kind of create challenges, and mostly it's the vulnerable groups that suffer, which is the migrants. But I feel that it's bad in a sense that South Africa is not the first country to have good economy and good opportunities after its independence. It was the same with Zimbabwe. If you look at Zimbabwe after 1980, we were the breadbasket of Africa, and our economy was doing very well, and we had a huge influx of immigrants coming from other countries like Mozambique, Malawi. Today we actually have cities in Harare that are called Blandaya. It means there's a lot of people from Malawi. We have this, but we never reached the point of burning someone with a tire. Yeah, that kind of violence, for me, it's too much.
Yeah, I definitely do think it's too much. I've never seen it go to these extremes. There's, like you said, there's stuff in France. There's also stuff that happens in the US. No one wants the Mexicans to ever cross the border because they're gonna steal our jobs and marry our women and all these things. But you always have to understand the point that people are coming from. And I do get the South African context of there's only so much that can go around in the country with the people that are struggling already. So when you see these newcomers taking everything away from you, it could get out of control. But I feel like with the anti-xenophobia summits that Africa Unite does, where they try to discuss with locals the problems, I think that's a better way of trying to solve those kinds of issues. Just sit down and try to talk it out.
For me, when it comes to the issue of violence, this is a character I picked up with South Africans, that they feel like they get responses through violence. Even when it comes to get RDP houses, they have to protest and it will end up being violent. Even for South Africa to reach to 1994, it was through violence. So I feel like sometimes South Africans feel like for us to get what we want, we need to be violent. If we just speak, nothing will happen. That's why you see they burn tires. And when it comes to foreigners, instead of them probably telling the government, can you please send away a certain percentage of foreigners so that we South Africans can try and scramble what we have? What they do is that they just act violently. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the culture. I think.
Yeah, the culture, the history plays a strong role. When it comes to South Africa, it always leads back to the history.
But I feel like it's a global issue. Like you can see fear of the migrants like everywhere around the world. And I was surprised like because I used to hear on the news like what's happening in the US or in Europe, but I didn't know that it was happening here also.
Yeah.
Even back home in Congo at the moment, we have a huge influx of Chinese coming and like building shops and everything. And then the main problem is that they're even entering into local businesses. Like there's this cake called in Congo mikate. Local people sell it, you know, but then even Chinese people are selling it. And now the Congolese people like they started protesting, like no, the government should kind of limit the foreigners from local businesses, but it wasn't violent. Like you see where the violent thing comes in. They just spoke because they are used to speaking. But the South Africans are used to burning tires, fighting, and to get what they want.
So the other challenge come from, take a look of the idea of the popular narrative that is being tuned by the media and so forth to say, as immigrants and refugees, we are here to take. Yeah. There is nothing that looks as it. What is it we give to the society? And this is basically that has to change. Take a scenario of the Somalians. They come and they start something out of nothing. When they come into the community and they open a shop, it's how they do things that makes them successful, rather than so it's something that the locals need to learn from those who are coming into the society and try to, I don't know, to copy or what they are doing.
If the government can at least like speak to the local people and tell them that why don't you associate with these foreigners so that they can teach you how to survive, because when we come here we are coming to survive, you know. And then they open all these shops, and even if you go to Top Deck Cape Town, you're like that whole section is foreigners plaiting hair, you know. And if South African women can come there and be like, okay, we also want to learn how to do hair, then they will teach them, and then there will be South Africans and foreigners. So that lack of knowledge is the main issue when it comes to xenophobia.
And also the issue of wedding. When we say foreigners, whom do we mean as foreigners? So those are the things also that we should actually try to change the language we use, because I can't be a foreigner here and I go to Europe, I am a foreigner as well. Because we are not the ones who created borders as Africans. Borders were created by the greedy colonizers when they went to the Berlin Conference. No African was consulted to be part of that demarcation of Africa. So we need to look at those things and say we have to do away with it. We have to decolonize our countries so that we can unite as Africans. See, nationalism sometimes is very bad, because when I say I am South African, I am Zimbabwean, you know, it means you might end up being hating, or I don't know. So if we remain a unity as a people and say we are Africans first, before we are Zimbabweans, before we are South Africans, I think it will work that way.
That is true. Yeah, the idea of African Union is something that I always tell people that if we Africans can create this ideology of African Union, it will be so great. Like where we could we'll easily associate with each other. Because one of the things I picked up growing up in high school, that there's a lot of South Africans that don't even know there's a country called Congo. They all think we come from Nigeria or Zimbabwe. And then they think Nigeria and Zimbabwe is countries floating somewhere around. They don't realize that we are all in Africa. So I think even when it comes to the Department of Education, teaching geography and history, they need to reinforce kids knowing that Africa is a continent and it exists, and in Africa there are countries, but we are all brothers. The reason why we have these borders because we were colonized. Like example, Congo was colonized by Belgium, South Africa. There's a lot of countries. Zimbabwe, England, they should know these things. Now, a lot of them don't know. Now, when they grow up, they see a foreigner, they just see you as this different person, not realizing that we are all brothers. We're all brothers and sisters.
I feel like there's no unity in Africa, like, but you're all the same. Like in Europe, they have found a way to bring people together. Like they feel Europe. They don't like. They won't identify specifically as European, but they will benefit of Europe. So I would like to have the same in Africa, and I think in the future we might have that also in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, think of just the simple thing as their passport.
Yeah.
If you have an EU passport, you can go everywhere in there.
Yeah.
So similar things should happen in Africa. Yeah. But also, like going back to what you said about the medias, I think like when people see pictures of burning tires everywhere and like it seems so chaotic, and the media makes it seem crazier than it actually is. Like it could be such a small problem, but if I see things all over the news, all over CNN, BBC, whatever, all these like broadcast media like supporting the idea of xenophobia, basically spreading that mentality, then nothing is going to change. And also South Africans have to realize that migrants are not going to stop coming in. Like the population is just going to keep growing, so they're just going to have to find a better and more peaceful way to deal with these things. So or else it's just going to keep going.
I remember I went to the tuck shop the other day just coming out because I underestimated the distance. And as I was coming back, I bumped into young boys, and I was a victim, and I had to limp for like a month. So I feel that back home I'm not safe, but I'm a bit safer. Because in a sense we don't have that thing of it does not mean that we don't have crime. There is crime, but it's a different forms of crime.
I think what you said is true when it comes to your reason of staying is based on people that are back home. Like I speak to a lot of foreign, especially Congolese people. Xenophobia, none of them are actually thinking of going back home because of the conditions that are back. They're thinking, if I go back home, where will I stay? Because your mother and your father back home are relying on you. So now if you go back home, who will they rely on? So that's why most of them just prefer going overseas and struggling there. But I don't know if you heard about the Angolians. Like most of them went back. Majority of them went back. Why? Because their country is now almost okay. It's like Rwanda now, and the president recently he reduced the price for a passport for work permit. So now a lot of Angolans at the moment, they are fine when it comes to documents in South Africa, and the condition of the country is so well, and they all went back. So I think if the country's condition is good, then people will go back. So I think xenophobia doesn't have much effect for people to go back. They will still stay in South Africa. They'll actually just move to safer areas, like come to Maitland, to Salt River, Woodstock, because they know it's safer. They will move out of Kailicha, Nyanga, because that's where all the eruptions take place. Yeah. You can't. Like most people, they come to South Africa, they come illegally, like through local border jumping, because in the Congo embassy, you go and ask for South African visa. They'll look at you like, what do you want to go and do there?
But if you have the South African passport, you can go. It's more easy to go in African countries, right?
Yes, but because when you have another African passport, it's difficult for you to go around. So that African, like we are not united. Like we are all just...
So my dream is to become a well-established writer in the near future.
My dream is like everybody could live his life like whatever he wants to live it like, without thinking about the consequences.
My dream is for Africans to stop thinking about their differences and start thinking more about their similarities and unite.
My dream is to travel around the world, meet different people, eat different food, fall in love with whoever I want to, but most importantly, walk with a passport that says African only. Nothing else.
Yazi, you should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong. You should ever sit and talk with people, or else take a walk and create a straight talk. Talk what is nice, it will make you feel stronger. Listen what is right and say what is wrong.